Once upon a time, in Russia, there was a farmer. The farmer lived in a village. The farmer owned a horse. He entered his horse in the local race, and his horse won. The villagers all gathered around. They were so excited. Someone in their village had won a race. And they were just, what are you going to do? You're going to go to Disney World, right? So he says, it could be good. It could be bad. Who knows? He wasn't as excited as they expected. So a couple of days later, he's come back from the fair or wherever it was, and wakes up one morning and robbers have come and stolen his wonderful horse. And the neighbors all come around and they are condoling him and saying, it's so terrible. How can you stand it? You lost your wonderful horse. And the farmer said, could be good, it could be bad. Who knows? A few days later, his horse comes back. It escaped from the robbers, and it brings with it some brood mares. So the villagers are back in his backyard telling him how wonderful it is. He's now going to be able to breed his horse and raise additional racehorses, and he can sell his horses. It's going to be so wonderful. And he says, it could be good. It could be bad. Who knows? His son decides to try to train some of the new horses and falls off and breaks his leg. And the neighbors are back bringing him food and offering him condolences. It's so terrible that your son has broken his leg. What are we going to do? And the farmer said, who knows? It could be good. It could be bad. The next week, while the son is still recuperating, the Russian army comes through town, conscripting all the sons. But they don't take this man's son because he has a broken leg. The neighbors know better than to come and tell him what a wonderful thing this is, because they know, what is he going to say? It could be bad. It could be good. Who knows? Fellow Toastmasters, good evening. This man didn't have experienced the ups and the downs that we go through when we have very strong emotions. He was, we'll say, happy with his lot. As they say, one who is wealthy is someone who is happy with his lot. He seemed to be, taking it in stride. I took a course recently that my executive coach recommended to me on something called positive intelligence. And this story comes from that course, and it illustrates a very important concept. But let me go back a little bit and explain a little bit about positive intelligence. This is a book by a man named Shirzad Shamin, and he's dedicated a good portion of his career to coaching people and helping them be more effective. And one of the ways you're more effective is by silencing some of the negative things that are going on in your life. So he describes, for example, that you have saboteurs that hijack you as you're trying to do things. One of your main saboteurs is called your judge in his parlance. And the judge is that little voice in your head that often sounds like your mother, or maybe your father, or maybe some teacher at some point in your life telling you, you're no good, or you can't do this, or there's something wrong with you. And we tend to believe that, and it leads us down negative pathways. And one of the ideas in positive intelligence is to quiet that voice. It never completely goes away, but you label it and say, that's the judge. I don't need to listen to that. And then you can go on and do what you need to do. One of the methods is to inculcate in you a sage perspective. The sage perspective has many aspects, but the one I want to talk about is the one that was illustrated by the story, which is that in any negative interaction, there is always a gift or opportunity. So whatever things look most dire, you look for the silver lining. That sounds very Pollyanna, unicorns and rainbows, and it actually works pretty well in practice. But the idea is to, in any given situation, you want to think about, what is it that I can get out of this? What can I learn from it? Sometimes it takes a long time. And one of the things the program does is you do various kinds of mental exercises and that grow your ability to process negative things, their ability to silence the negative voices. One of the other saboteurs that I found was particularly, I recognized particularly, was called the stickler, the one that says, it's got to be right or it isn't good at all. And it leads you down the path of the perfect being the enemy of the good. Another one that I liked is called the avoider, the one that always agrees to do whatever you want to do in order to avoid whatever negative consequence you're going to come up with. So they're all very familiar voices, and different people have different ones that are stronger. Sometimes if your spouse has one that's different from you, they're complementary in terms of the fact they collude to bring you both into negative interactions. So the program teaches you how to manage your sage and learn to do various things. Another one of the things I really like is to try to empathize with people. So you picture the person that you're trying to empathize with as a 5-year-old or a 2-year-old, a point when they are still sort of impressionable and vulnerable, and you can maybe see past whatever negative interaction you're engaging in by thinking about where's this person really coming from, trying to go back. I found this very helpful. It was a 6-week course with daily exercises. I really recommend the book, but I'll end with another story that illustrates how this really worked in my life. A number of weeks ago, I got a phone call from my nephew. My nephew and niece moved to Kemp about a year ago, and they're renting a house down on Lovejoy Court. They had 2 cars in California, but when they moved here, they sold one. And we had extra cars in our driveway because my son moved to New York and didn't need a car for a while. So we let them drive our car so they could run carpool. So he calls me and he says, Auntie Laura, we had a fender bender. Okay, well, I've had lots of fender benders. Usually that means a dent in the bumper and I don't bother doing anything about it. So, okay, Yoni, is everything okay? Everybody's safe? Oh yeah, everybody's safe. The kids are fine. He was driving carpool. Well, what happened? He says, somebody stopped in front of me and I hit their rear end. I'm like, okay, we can deal with that. Please send me pictures and I'll call the insurance company. And he sends me the pictures. And the whole front end of the car is gone. The license plate was embedded in the other car. We don't even have the license plate. You can see the engine, the hood is up. I am shocked that the airbags didn't deploy. It's probably because they weren't working properly, not because he didn't hit hard enough. So I looked at it, I said, Yoni, this car is gone. It's a total loss. And the insurance company bore that out. But he's like, Auntie Laura, I'm so sorry. What am I going to do? How can I repay you? I said, it could be good, it could be bad, but we weren't driving this car. It's really your problem. So you tell me, is it bad or good? Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.